The vast, cavernous factory floor stretches into dimness, a realm of forgotten industry. Flickering overhead lights cast an eerie glow, illuminating dancing dust motes in weak beams. The air hangs heavy, thick with the pungent scent of old oil and cold metal, a testament to silent decay. The watchman, a grizzled figure of late 50s, shuffles through the gloom, his footsteps echoing ominously. A rusty flashlight cuts a lonely beam through the darkness, a solitary guide in the vast, silent factory. The watchman, a figure of tired authority, pauses beside a massive, silent machine on the grimy factory floor. His gaze sweeps across the concrete, where harsh overhead lights reflect off a vast, unnaturally dark pool. A viscous crimson expanse, too deep to be ordinary, stretches across the floor, catching the light. A deep frown etches itself onto his face as a prickle of profound unease begins to spread within him. The watchman leans closer to the dark, viscous pool, his breath fogging in the chilling air of the factory floor. A faint, rhythmic thump-thump echoes, an impossible sound in the desolate space. His gaze drops to the crimson liquid, his eyes widening in stark disbelief as the sound source is revealed. The blood itself, a macabre heart, pulses with a horrifying, unnatural rhythm. On the cold concrete floor, a pool of blood shimmers ominously, a dark stain under the factory lights. Then, with a sickening, organic motion, the blood begins to coil and swirl, refusing to soak into the ground. The watchman recoils, a profound dread seizing his heart as he witnesses the impossible sight. His breath hitches, each beat of his heart echoing the pulsing, coiling blood before him. The rhythmic pulsing intensifies, a grotesque, sickening beat filling the cavernous factory space. Fear grips the watchman as the blood throbs with an unnatural life, an unspeakable horror unfolding. The grimy factory wall, a canvas of horror, is splattered with dark crimson, a chilling testament to recent violence. The blood, once still, begins to defy gravity, sliding upward as if pulled by an unseen, malevolent force. Jagged shards of bone, like iron filings, are dragged along with the rising blood, drawn to an invisible magnet. The watchman's eyes dart between the floor and the wall, his disbelief twisting into unbridled terror. The factory air, once hazy with crimson mist, now thickens rapidly, a sinister shroud descending. Above the pulsing blood, the mist swirls into a tight, screaming vortex, its color deepening to an ominous black red. A high-pitched, almost human-like scream erupts from within the vortex, piercing the air with terrifying force. The watchman stands frozen, the chilling scream echoing in his very bones, a harbinger of unspeakable horror. The factory floor chills, an unnatural cold seeping into the very air, carrying the metallic tang of ozone and old iron. Shadows stretch and writhe with malevolent intent, converging on the churning blood vortex at the room's heart. The watchman shivers uncontrollably, a tremor not from the cold, but from an encroaching, paralyzing dread. His eyes, wide with horror, fix on the ominous maelstrom, a silent scream building within his soul. In the dim factory, a swirling crimson mist begins to coalesce, a terrifying spectacle unfolding before the watchman. Slowly, it forms a towering silhouette, a growing void that seems to absorb all light around it. Its form shifts and flickers like static on an old television screen, undefined yet undeniably present. The watchman stares, transfixed by the horrifying transformation, his breath held captive by the eerie sight. The crimson mist pulses with an unseen energy, its silent growth filling the factory with an ominous presence. The entity glides with unnatural grace across the factory floor, a profound void shifting with the dark geometry of the factory. Its form is in constant flux, not distinctly human, but an eerie presence that chills the very air. The watchman stumbles backward, his eyes wide with terror, tripping over his own feet in a desperate retreat. His heart hammers against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the chilling silence of the factory floor. On the factory floor, a relentless rhythmic pulsing thunders from a monstrous entity, vibrating through my very soul. I desperately press my hands to my ears, but the sound, a primal force, resonates deep within my bones. The monstrous, mechanical heartbeat intensifies, a terrifying rhythm that begins to seize control of my own pulse. My own heartbeat struggles, fighting against the overwhelming force, threatening to synchronize with its terrifying beat. Lost in a cacophony of sound, my body becomes a drum, forced to march to the beat of this alien, mechanical heart. A sinister entity glides through the factory's dark expanse, not walking, but warping the very space around it. The air shimmers and bends with each of its unnatural movements, defying all known laws of physics. I watch, frozen in a primal horror, as the impossible being continues its eerie, silent passage. Its presence distorts reality, an unspeakable terror unfolding in the oppressive darkness of the factory floor. A low metallic drone reverberates through the vast factory floor, a sound that defies human comprehension. This deep, resonant hum seems to emanate from the very core of the factory's colossal structure. The air itself vibrates with this mysterious sound, a palpable force in the cavernous space. It is a sound that feels like words attempting to form, yet forever just beyond the grasp of understanding. The watchman stands amidst this sonic enigma, the relentless vibrations coursing through his very bones. His figure is dwarfed by the immense machinery, a solitary presence in a symphony of industrial mystery. The factory floor looms, a heavy and oppressive space, its shadows stretching like grasping hands. A desperate struggle begins, a fight against an unseen force that pins me down. My legs, leaden and unresponsive, refuse to obey, each step a monumental effort. It's like wading through deep, viscous water, an invisible current, dragging me deeper into despair. The air itself presses down, a suffocating blanket stealing my breath and resolve. Trapped and gasping, I fight against the crushing weight of the factory's silent menace. Within the vast, cavernous factory, a single fluorescent light flickers erratically, heralding an impending darkness. With a sudden, violent pop, the light explodes, showering a cascade of sparks onto the cold, unforgiving floor below. One by one, the overhead lights succumb, each failure plunging another section of the factory into an oppressive gloom. The encroaching shadows stretch and deepen, distorting familiar shapes and intensifying the chilling sense of entrapment. A profound darkness descends, isolating pockets of the factory, leaving only the ominous silence in its wake. In the factory's dying light, the watchman's eyes widen, fixed on a monstrous entity emerging from the shadows. The entity slowly raises a hand, a gesture of immense, terrifying power that ripples through the air. Across the vast factory floor, heavy machinery groans in unison, gears grinding to an unseen command. The watchman freezes, his blood running cold as he witnesses the horrifying spectacle unfold before him. A chilling silence descends upon the factory floor, a suffocating void where industrial clamor once reigned. A sinister, dragging sound scrapes across the concrete, growing louder, closer. In the profound darkness, the unseen entity approaches, its ominous presence filling the vast empty space with dread. The watchman stands frozen, his breath hitched in his throat, paralyzed by an all-consuming fear. He waits, a lone figure in the oppressive dark, for the inevitable encounter that looms before him.